Hey everybody, this is Mother of Many Horses with Honey Hollow Homestead. Don't mind me, I'm a little bit sweaty. I'm sitting in the barn because there's a nice cool breeze blowing through here and there's no sun beating on my head. I just got done unloading a load of pallets out of my truck and putting hay out for the horses. And I'm just waiting for Deeza's feed to soak up a little bit before I feed her breakfast. Anyway, I'm sure you all have heard that there's the majority of states have mandated the wearing of masks in public. And even here in Kentucky, the governor has tried to put out a mandate that we are to wear masks in public. Now, that's being battled in the courts because, was it the Attorney General, I believe, said that that was unconstitutional. So they're going to fight it out, and we'll see what happens there. And I hear that this is not the only state where that's happening. Anyway, I want to talk about some facts here. Hard truth facts. I've been watching the news, but I've not just been watching the news. I've also been looking into some studies, okay, and some other reports, both from the CDC, the WHO, and independent doctors, and all kinds of stuff like that, okay? I don't come to my conclusions lightly. When this thing all first started, okay, I was just like everybody else on pins and needles. Okay, how bad is this really going to be? You know, I started taking vitamin C to help to boost my immune system, and a few other things, just a little bit more than what I normally do, just to prepare myself, okay, for just how bad this is going to be. Now, I do know that there have been people who have died from this virus. And it's a sad day when anybody dies. A life lost is a life lost, and it's sad. But at the same time, I know that every human being on the face of this earth will someday face death. Every one of us. It's a fact of life. They say there's two facts in life: death and taxes. Okay. But when you actually look at the numbers, okay, the report just came out this morning that it was just shy of 3.5 million people have tested positive for this virus. That's as of this morning. And well, I don't even know what the date is. July. Anyway, you'll see it because I'm hoping to have this uploaded today. If not today, it'll be tomorrow. So it's not going to be that old. Anyway, as of today, just shy of 3.5 million people in this country has tested positive for the virus. That seems like a very daunting number. That's a lot of people. But when you compare it to the actual population of the United States, we have over 300 million people living in the United States. Over 300 million. Don't mind me, I got a fly bugging me. They always seem to know when I'm sitting still. And it's that time of year. Anyway, that'll help. Something to swap my legs with. Anyway, so 300 million people. So percentage-wise, how many people, how much of the population has the virus? 1%. That is 1%. Okay? Take a community of 100 people. Okay, just because it's easy math. One person has that virus. One. Okay. They have shut down this country. They have closed small businesses. They have wreaked havoc on people's lives. And now they're saying you must wear a mask in public. Because 1% of the population has come down with this virus. Now, they're talking about a lot of, there being a spike in the number of cases. Let's look at this logically, people. There's a spike in the number of cases because there's also a spike in the number of tests being done. When you look back when this first started, only select groups of people were being tested. Only select populations were being tested. And it's very few, okay? Now, I mean, you see testing sites popping up all over the place. My own husband got tested twice, which, by the way, both times he came back negative, okay? But twice he had to have the test done. And yet it's only been 3.5 million people have come back positive with it. Now, let's be generous here and say that, okay, well, that's the people that have been tested. Okay, what about the people who haven't been tested? Okay, so let's say, we'll say 2% of people had it, or had it. Let me emphasize that. Had, past tense, it. Yes, there are some that have it now, but there's also those who had it, as in past tense, have recovered and have no ill effects from it. Okay? They've gone on, they're doing fine. In the vast majority of the cases that have had the virus, have survived. They have lived through it. Their body has built up antibodies for it, and they're fine. Okay? Some have gotten more sick than others. Some. Okay? But you know what? We face diseases every day. And from the cold to stomach virus to other viruses, mumps, measles, chickenpox. You know, we've all gone through it as we've progressed through our lives. We've gotten sick, we felt miserable, but then we got over it. And we lived. And we have no ill effects except for that miserable memory of being sick. Who likes to be sick? Nobody likes to be sick. I don't like to be sick. But it happens, okay? Such is life. It's part of life. But by getting sick, you're also exercising your immune system, your natural ability to fight off disease, okay? It's the way our bodies were designed. Yes, I know. But there are people who have died from it, yes. And I have spoken to people who have actually treated these people. Doctors, nurses, okay? And they tell me those who have had an underlying health issue, underlying lung issues, those are the people who did poorly. Those who did not have an underlying health issue or an underlying lung issue fared much better. Now, that's how they had to word it to me, because of course you got your HIPAA laws and all that stuff, okay? So couldn't get specific. But pretty much, you know, the ones who did not make it were the ones who had other health issues. And we found out that a lot of the virus cases that people supposedly died from the virus. Come to find out, no, they died from other causes, and they just happened to have the virus when they died. So that's dishonest. In a true statistical sense, that is dishonest. That is skewing the data. I feel for those people who passed away. I really do. And their families, because it's a hardship. And to add insult to injury, those families were not permitted to have a funeral and to get together and mourn together. If you're listening to the "If it bleeds, it leads" media, who love to hyperventilate at the least perception of a possible disaster, whose reporting is not necessarily based in reality, you're going to get in a state of panic. You're going to be all up in arms and worried about it. Okay? And that's, I mean, if that's all you're hearing, then I understand why you're in such a panic about it. Totally understand. Because that's all you know. But if you can take the time to look at the studies and understand how your body functions when it comes to fighting disease and how this virus is also functioning. I saw a report not that long ago, and I believe it was from the CDC, that said that this virus was weakening. It's not nearly as bad as it was at the very beginning, which is how a virus naturally reacts. Over time, it diminishes in its strength until the next one comes up. Okay? That's normal. Hello, Deeza. She's wanting her breakfast. Anyway. Also, there's debate about whether or not the masks are actually effective for a multitude of reasons. For one thing, the vast majority of the population, who now is being forced to wear a mask when they go into public, do not wear them correctly. They're only covering their mouth, or they're too loose, or they're too tight. Also, masks that are meant to be single use only are being used multiple times. They have a life expectancy of about 3 hours. Now that may vary depending on the make and whatever of the mask, but approximately 3 hours is the life expectancy, effectiveness rather, of a mask. There are other masks like the homemade cloth ones. They do virtually nothing except for impede your breathing ability. There's been a couple of doctors who have done studies, okay, in their offices where they put those oxygen meters on your finger. You know how you get when you go in the hospital and they test, they're checking to see what your oxygen absorption is, okay? There wasn't too much difference when you were sitting at rest, okay? Just sitting here, your respiration rate is fairly low. You're just relaxing. You're not doing anything strenuous. But the minute you get up and you start walking around and you start using your lungs a little bit more vigorously, then your oxygen absorption level reduces. Depending on your activity level, it can be reduced, again, depending on which type of mask you're wearing and your activity level. It can be reduced up to 30%. People, that's danger zone. That is danger zone. Your brain needs oxygen to function properly. And if it is deprived of the oxygen for too long a period, then you start to experience brain damage. I have seen it. Now, I understand there's, even in my own family, based on their sources, and even those in the medical field, that this is what we're told, this is what we have to abide by. Doesn't matter what reality is, this is it, we must follow. We're given an order, we must follow. Instead of looking at the whole picture. I said, I have people in my family who are in the medical field. Some are following the rhetoric. Some are looking beyond that and questioning. And they disagree with the regulatory mandates that are being brought down. Okay? And yeah, you'll find disagreements among doctors and other members of the medical field. What it boils down to is your ability to be able to look at the evidence before you. And I'm not talking from the if it bleeds, it leads media. Okay? I'm talking about actual studies, statistics. You look at that and you come to your own conclusion. I disagree with the mask mandates. Now, if you want to wear a mask, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's your choice. Okay? If you have a compromised immune system, just like before all this virus thing came down, if you had cancer and you were taking chemo, your immune system dropped. If you have other autoimmune problems, you went out in public, you were advised to wear a mask. Why? To protect yourself. Okay? If that's the situation and you want to do that, that's fine. I understand that. You know, if that's what you feel you need to do to protect yourself, fine. But I really do believe it's very wrong for you to expect someone who is perfectly healthy to wear a mask. I'm not sneezing, I'm not coughing, I'm not sweaty. Well, okay, in this heat I am sweaty, okay, I'll admit it, okay, but it's not because I'm sick, okay. I have no aches and pains, okay. I am not sick, I am perfectly healthy. I am not contagious for anything. To expect me to wear a mask to make you feel better, just on an emotional level, I'm sorry, is wrong. I disagree with it. It's not necessary. It puts me in mind of Nazi Germany, especially when you expect people around me to turn me in, like the Gestapo. Yes, I'm going to use the word Nazi because that's what the Nazis did. For those of you who are so young and maybe haven't even studied the history very well recently, go back and look and see what they did back in Nazi Germany. It wasn't just the Jews that they sent to the gas chambers, okay? It was Christians, it was mentally disabled, it was physically disabled, any excuse. It wasn't just the Jews who suffered, okay? So in this situation today, they're persecuting the healthy. I am not terribly worried about getting the virus. Do I want it? No, not especially, because like I said, who likes being sick? I don't like being sick. And I know there are some cases where you get very sick with the virus, depending on the person. Most people do not get that sick. There are some that get very sick and their disease lingers. But I don't smoke, never have. My lungs are healthy. My immune system is moderately healthy because I've had things affect my immune system, but I don't have an autoimmune disease or anything like that. So, but I do what I can to boost my immune system. Okay. So I'm just putting it out there. This is my opinion for what it's worth. Okay. My opinion that I formed not because of rumor, not because of hyperbole, not because of a single source. Okay. I looked at multiple sources. I talked to people who are in the thick of it. Okay. Those in those in the medical profession and those outside of it. Looked at studies, and the conclusion that I have come to for me is that I will not be wearing a mask in public. If I have to go out in public, I will still do so without fear. Except for maybe the fear of some Gestapo Nazi feeling it's necessary for them to report me for not wearing a mask. That is my only fear. So, I mean, I know that there are some people who watch my channel who have health issues. And I understand you needing to wear a mask. And I talked to a woman in the hospital who, when I said I won't be wearing a mask in public, she said, well, aren't you afraid of getting the virus and bringing it back to your husband? No, I'm not. For one thing, I've never been one who gets as close as they can possibly get to other people. If I don't know you, I'm not going to be close to you. Okay? And that's just me. I'm not going up and hobnobbing with people. I don't like being in close crowds. I have never liked being in close crowds. Okay? If it's too tight, I'm out of there. That's just the way I've always been. Okay? It has nothing to do with disease. It's just I don't like being in tight crowds. Okay? I'm perfectly happy to be 3 feet or more away from someone. Okay? I'm perfectly happy with that. So anyway, I hope you're not going to hold it against me for forming my own opinion and having an independent, informed decision. I'm not saying you have to have the same opinion as me. You have to make your own decision based on your own research. Okay? So, I hope you all stay healthy, and that's because being sick is just miserable. This is Mother of Many Horses with Honey Hollow Homestead. Have a good one, people. I'll talk to you later.